Hello and welcome to our 11th session, and in this session we are going to go back to our hero component. So to show that to you, I will just show it here. See, you are seeing the 3D building here and you have a switch here. So when I click on this switch, see, this moves down. So we are going to design this in this session. Come back to Visual Studio Code, and if your code is not running, run npm run dev, and as soon as it starts, see, it is launching. I will control click, and this is the site that we have created in our previous session. I will just resize it. Okay, so this we have done it in our previous session. So right now we are happy with our computers.jsx. I will close it, and I am going to now open box. I will close this canvas also, and I am going to now open hero.jsx, and in this we are going to add that framer motion switch. So now in this, below this computer canvas, I will add a div and I will move it down, and for this div again I am going to allot some class names. So I will press space and call this class name, and the very first class I am going to use is absolute. So I will use absolute, then space, I am going to call xs, and I am going to, xs means in medium devices, bottom I am going to set a margin of 10, and in other devices I am going to set a bottom margin of 32. Then width I will keep it full, w full, and then I am going to use flex, justify center, and finally I will have items center. So if required, I will come to view and choose word wrap so that I can see everything. Now inside this, I am first going to create an anchor tag, a and greater than sign. This is creating an anchor tag, and inside this anchor tag, before that, for this anchor tag I am going to add href, that is the link where it should go when I click on it. So if I select this href, and for the link, for this I am going to add the hash sign above, because when I click on that button, it has to go to the first section, which is the about section. Then inside this anchor tag, I am now going to create a div, and now for this div I am going to again add some classes. So I am going to press space, and I am going to call this class name, set its width in flower bracket, I will set it to around 35 pixels and close the flower bracket, and then height h hyphen open, sorry, not flower bracket, it is square bracket. Inside the square bracket I am going to type 64 pixel, and I am going to close the square bracket, and after this I am going to add rounded and hyphen 3xl. I am going to add this class, space, then I am going to set it a border of 4. I am going to set border of 4 units, and then I am going to set the border color to secondary. I am going to select this color border secondary. Then I am going to add flex. After flex I will add justify center, and then items start, and finally P2. And with this, these are the classes we have added. Now if I press Ctrl S and if I save this, you can see this rectangle appearing here. See, this rectangle we have created only by using these classes, and inside this div, for the first time, now we are going to add motion.div. We are going to call this component motion.div, and I will add a forward slash and create this. I am going to call this, and inside this motion.div, the parameters that we are going to add is, I will press space and come to the next line. Now here I am going to add the property animate, and this animate will be equal to, I am going to add an open close bracket, flower bracket, and inside that I will add one more open close flower bracket, and then I will press enter, and I want the animation to happen along the y axis, colon, and in square bracket I will enter along 0. Along x axis I will type 0 because I does not want any animation to happen. Along y I will add 24 and I will add 0, so that it is going to animate only along the y axis. So after this animate component, I will come out of this animate component, that is after that blue flower bracket, I will press space and I will come to next line, and I am going to call another component called transition, and this transition will be equal to, again I will add a flower bracket, one more flower bracket, and then inside this I am going to set its duration, colon, it will be around 1.5, comma, then I am going to add repeat, colon, I am going to set its value to infinity, comma, then I am going to use repeat type, T capital, repeat type, colon, and in semi, that is inverted comma, I will set it to loop. And finally, after this, I will come out of this blue flower bracket, and I am now going to add class name. I am going to call the class names, and it will be equal to, and I will in inverted comma, I am going to set its width to 3, then height hyphen 3, then I am going to make it rounded full, and then I am going to set its color to BG secondary, and then finally I am going to add MB margin bottom 1, and I am going to save this. Okay, so now once I save it and refresh the page once, and immediately you can automatically see this icon moving top and bottom. See? Okay, so we have this button ready, and we have done our hero.jsx file ready. See, on a desktop it is appearing fine, but on a mobile, when I see this on the mobile, you can see that the model is getting cut, and I want to change the dimension of this model in a mobile, and now we are going to do that. And for that I will close this hero.jsx file, I will close this, and I am going to come back to canvas, and I am going to open my computer.jsx file. Here inside this constant computer canvas, inside this I am now going to create a new user state, and for this user state I will press space, and I am going to call this, I will add constant, and in square bracket I am going to set the use state is mobile. This is the condition we are going to test, and I am going to add set is mobile, in which I and M are capital. And after adding this, I will come out of this square bracket. This will be equal to use state, and in the bracket it will be set to false. And now below this, press enter, and I am going to call useEffect component, and in this useEffect component I am going to add brackets, the parameter that we are going to add here is a function. So, for this I will again add another parameter inside this, and I will add an equal sign and greater than sign. This is a function. Then I will add a flower bracket, and inside this flower bracket now I am going to call the const media query. I am going to call this media query, and this media query will be equal to, we are going to set this media query equal to window dot match media, and in this match media I will open close the parenthesis, or the here inside this parenthesis I am going to add an inverted comma, and inside this I am going to again add a bracket, and I am going to ask it to check max width, and this max width colon should be 500. And after this I am going to press enter, and I am going to also save this. I am next going to set const handle media query change. I am going to call a function handle m capital media query change, and this I am creating a function here, and this function will be equal to, in open close bracket, the parameter we are going to give is an event, equals and greater than sign. This is a function. I am going to add this curly brackets, and inside the curly bracket I am going to set is mobile, and in the bracket I am going to add event matches. See, event matches, and I am going to save this. Okay, now I will come out of this function. This is a function that I have created, handle media query change. Now after this I will press enter. I am going to now call the media query. I am going to call this media query dot, and I am going to add an event listener, and in open close bracket the event that we are going to listen to is change, that is when the screen size changes. I will come out, add a comma, and then here I am going to call this function handle media query change. I am going to call this function. Okay, so now I will end this with a colon. Now I will come to next line, and after we add the event listener, we should then remove it. For that I will add a return, and this will be a function, open close bracket, and outside this I will add an equal sign and greater than sign, and then in flower bracket, inside the flower bracket I am going to again call this media query, and this time not add event listener, I am going to add remove event listener, and again I will put the brackets, and in that inverted comma I am going to select change and then comma, and I am going to again call this function handle media query change. Now in this entire useEffect function, what we are actually doing is, see, in this entire function starting from here to here, we are actually testing the isMobile condition. It is going to check whether that isMobile condition is true or false, and now we are going to use this value in our code. Now to use this variable, I am going to come into the canvas. I will scroll down here, and in the computers we are adding the computer component here, and inside this computer component we are going to call this function isMobile, and this isMobile will be equal to, in flower bracket we are going to set it to isMobile value. See, this isMobile will be equal to this isMobile value. Now from here coming to the top, in computers we had defined the computer and we had kept this parameter empty. Now here I will use the flower bracket and I am going to test this condition isMobile, and we are going to, if it is mobile, now here we are going to change certain parameters. Now I will come to, say for example in this setting, I will come to scale here. Previously we had set it to 0.75. I will select it, and in this case now we are going to test the condition is mobile, and if it is true, it is represented by question mark, and if it is true, then in that case the scale will be set to 0.7, and colon is, when it is false, it will be set to 0.75. So instead of 0.7 I can even make it 0.5. Actually when I check the code, we have done a mistake here. See, use max width 500 here. After this entire thing, after 500 I have to add pixel px and I have to close this bracket. So I have forgotten to close this bracket, and now if I check it, I will also apply it to position. In position also I am going to call this isMobile, and this isMobile, if it is true I will add the question mark, and in this case I want the scale. What I will do is I will also add colon, okay, and I will select this entire content, I will copy it and paste it. So we have two values here, one when it is true and one when it is false. When it is true, in this case I will make the y value, let the x value be 0 only. In y value I will make, instead of 3.25 I will make it 3, and the z value I am going to make it minus 2.2, and if I save it now and if I move it, so this is the position in full scale, and when I scale it you can see the position is also shifting. See, you are seeing the change in position also happening. Now here you might feel it is very confusing about this that is useEffect. This useEffect, what we have used, this might be very confusing. To make you understand better, I will add some comment. Now this constant media query equals Windows match media, why are we declaring it? I will press enter and I will add 2 slashes, and when I add 2 slashes it becomes a comment. This is only for our purpose. So here we are adding a listener for changes to the screen size. Here in the second line here I will add one more comment. What are we doing here? We are setting the initial value of the isMobile variable, and here as I am adding, I am coming to know that I have missed one step. We have not set the isMobile property at all. So for this, in this line I am now going to set isMobile. We are going to set isMobile value, initial value in open close bracket, to media query dot matches. So we are going to set it to media query matches, and I end it with semicolon. We set this, I will press enter, and I am going to add the next comment, and here we are actually defining a callback. This is a callback function, and this callback function to handle, so here we are handling changes to the media query. That is, whenever the user changes the screen size, this is going to get trigger. And after this, that is the set matches, after this, here also I am going to add one semicolon and I will save it. Now after this, we are next going to add the callback function function as a listener for changes to the media query. And this is what we have added here. And finally, below here we use the return because we have to remove this listener, whatever we have added. This listener we are going to remove it when the component is unmounted. So these comments I have added so that you can understand exactly what is happening in this media query. And one last correction is, here in use state I have typed the wrong one. It should be false. I have to set this to false. Okay. So this one correction I have to make it and I will save it. So now finally, if I scale this, this is becoming big, see, and if I scale it back, it is going, see, it is going. The top margin I am seeing it is too much, see, we are seeing a huge margin here. So for this I will come back to this hero.jsx, and in the top we had used 120 pixel. I will make it just 20 pixel and save it, so that we have more space on the top. See, now if I drag it and move it, so the thing is this gap I have reduced. So now see, I will just refresh it once to load the model again, and I have reduced this top gap. So now our entire hero section is now ready. We have completed this hero.jsx completely. And now in our next session, when I click on this button, we are going to move to the about button. And this about section, we are going to make it ready in our next session.